There are moments when an animal suddenly stops. A cat looks toward an empty corner. A dog stares at a doorway. A horse freezes and looks into the distance. Nothing seems to be there, so naturally we look too. And sometimes we start wondering, what does the animal know that we don't? The strange thing is, the animal probably isn't seeing a ghost. It's seeing a world that is much bigger than the one we experience. Imagine Mr. Scar sitting quietly in his room. Everything looks normal, then his cat suddenly turns its head toward the wall. Mr. Scar looks at the wall. Nothing. He looks again, still nothing. The cat keeps staring. So Mr. Scar does what any reasonable person would do. He slowly walks away from the room, because clearly the cat knows something. But here's the first important part. The room isn't actually empty. It's only empty to him. Humans experience the world mostly through vision. That gives us an incredible amount of information, but it also gives us a limit. We don't hear everything. We don't smell everything. We don't detect tiny movements nearly as well as some animals do. And animals can build their understanding of a room from all of those signals at once. Take hearing. A dog can hear frequencies that humans cannot. So when your dog suddenly looks toward a wall, there may genuinely be a sound coming from that direction. Maybe something moving inside the wall. Maybe a tiny animal outside. Maybe a distant sound that is too quiet or too high-pitched for you to notice. To you, the room is silent. To the dog, it isn't. It's more like someone turned the volume up on the entire world. And hearing is only the beginning. Smell can make the difference even stranger. For many animals, smell is not just a tiny extra sense, it's information. A dog doesn't simply smell that food is nearby, it can detect traces of scent that have been left behind. A person could walk through a room, leave, and think the room is empty, but an animal may still be able to detect that person's presence. The same room can contain information that your brain never receives. Then there's movement. Some animals are extremely sensitive to small changes in their surroundings. A tiny insect moving across a floor, a branch shifting outside, a shadow changing through a window, something moving in peripheral vision. You might not consciously notice any of it. The animal might. This is where things get really interesting. Animals don't just have different senses, they also have different priorities. Evolution didn't give every species the same sensory equipment. It gave them what was useful for survival. A predator benefits from noticing tiny movements. A prey animal benefits from detecting threats from far away. A nocturnal animal needs to extract information from an environment where human vision becomes almost useless. So when an animal stares at something we can't see, the mystery may not be what it's seeing. The mystery may be how much we are missing. Imagine two people standing in the same forest. One person sees trees, leaves, rocks, and darkness. A nearby animal may be processing movement, sounds, smells, wind direction, and tiny changes in the environment. Same forest, completely different reality. And there is another reason animals sometimes seem to stare at absolutely nothing. Their attention can be focused on information that isn't visually obvious. A cat may hear something behind a wall. A dog may notice a scent drifting through an open window. A horse may detect something moving much farther away than a human can comfortably see. The animal doesn't need to understand exactly what the source is. It only needs to know something changed. That's an important survival skill, because in nature, you don't always get a clear warning. Sometimes there's no dramatic roar, no obvious predator, just a tiny change, a sound that wasn't there before, a smell that suddenly appears, a movement at the edge of vision. If an animal ignores every strange signal, eventually one of those signals will be the dangerous one. So it can be safer to investigate something that turns out to be nothing than to ignore something that turns out to be a predator. And this creates one of the strangest parts of animal behavior. Sometimes the animal is wrong. It can stare at a harmless shadow, react to a sound that doesn't matter, or suddenly become fascinated by something that has absolutely no importance. Because survival systems aren't designed to be perfect. They're designed to reduce risk. Mr. Scare can relate to this. He hears a noise. He freezes. His heart starts racing. He slowly turns around. Nothing. He checks the door. Nothing. He checks under the table. Nothing. He finally relaxes. Then his cat looks at the same corner again. Mr. Scare immediately leaves the building. But there's one more possibility we should consider. Sometimes the animal really isn't reacting to anything unusual. Sometimes it's simply paying attention. Animals, just like humans, can pause. They can become interested in something. They can watch their surroundings. They can rest while staring into space. And because we don't know what they're looking at, our brains fill in the blank. We see a cat staring at an empty wall, and our imagination creates the explanation. A ghost, a sixth sense, something supernatural. But usually, the explanation is much more fascinating. The animal is living in a sensory world that we don't fully share. Humans built their reality around the information our senses can collect. Animals built theirs around theirs. So the next time your dog suddenly stares at an empty doorway, don't immediately assume it has seen something terrifying. Instead, remember that the doorway may not be empty at all. There may be a sound, a smell, a tiny movement, a distant signal, or absolutely nothing important. And that's the strange part. When an animal stares at nothing, we may not actually be looking at a mystery. We may simply be getting a brief glimpse of a world that was there the entire time. We just don't have the senses to notice it.